For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you really run out of time? And we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Friday night, everyone, and happy birthday, Harvey Evans. What can I say about Harvey Evans? He was the nicest man in show business. I've never met anyone who didn't have anything nice to say about him. And it's interesting because when news broke of his passing, and I get Google alerts for Carol Channing, and I got Google alerts from around the world, and I saw obituaries in every language for Harvey Evans. I met Harvey Evans when I first began working with dancers over 40. And I was lucky enough to share the stage with Harvey a few times when I hosted the Legacy Awards with him and a few other events. And I got to know him over the years at various events. And he was always the nicest, kindest man. I never saw him without a smile on his face. Here's a photograph of us together. And he just exuded happiness. And he was just so wonderful and open and kind. And as I was putting this show together, Marcus Galante put together the most incredible opening montage celebrating his life. Tonight, I am going to be bringing on just a few of his incredible friends, colleagues that will be sharing this stage with us tonight to share some wonderful warm memories. Tonight is a celebration. And Harvey, it's all for you, and you will not be forgotten. And Marcus, I want to thank you so much for putting this together. And here it is. Harvey, this is all for you. And Harvey, we love you. and one of his many co-stars, colleagues, friends, Lonnie Ackerman. I am so glad that you said yes to being here tonight. First of all, Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm fine. That was really hard to watch.
Well, tonight was,
Gut punch.
but I know it, but and it's hard to believe. We, as you and I, we spoke last week, and we knew that Harvey's been ill for quite some time, but it still hit all of us hard when we all got the news that he had passed on Christmas Eve of all times to get this news. But let's talk about happier times.
Okay.
Let's talk about how you and Harvey first met. And you shared an incredible story with me that I asked you to repeat tonight.
Okay. So I met Harvey when I was 18, and it was the first day of rehearsal for George M. January 1st, 1968. And Patty was there too, Patty Mariano, and Ron Young. And I just immediately had the worst crush on him. I just thought, oh my God. Patty and I were dressing roommates. I drove her crazy, by the way. But I was so young, and he was just so adorable. And I was, as we would say, pure as the driven snow. I was a very late bloomer. But I built up the nerve after a couple of weeks and went up to Harvey and said, I'd really be really happy to lose it to you. I would give it up to you now. And that's what he did, Patty. Put his hands like this, and he started laughing, and he hugged me, and he went, oh, Lon, And this running joke continued for over 50 years. And every time I saw him, I would say, Harvey, I'm waiting, come on, I'm waiting. What are you going to do here? And each response was just, oh, well, let's wait a little longer, The last one
That's what he said to me too.
He did?
I was in love with him as well.
Well, who wasn't?
Who was not in
love with Harvey Evans?
And the last time was at the reunion in 2018. Now, I already had 2 grown children, so obviously I was no longer pure as the driven snow. And I said, Harvey, come on, I'm still waiting, When is this going to happen? Get some gas going. And he said, okay, we got to do something. So Harvey, wherever you are, I will find you one of these days. It's going to be my turn, and I will find you before Patty finds you. And and you better watch out, because it's going to happen. And he was just the best. So that's my contribution. There wasn't anything he couldn't do. We did Starting Here, Starting Now together, which was, something Harvey never thought he would do. And he was brilliant. And he was so kind, and he made us laugh, and we miss him. I miss him.
You did those 2 shows together. Patty, how many shows did you and Harvey do together over the years?
Harvey and I did 3 shows together. Of course, we did the 1968 January 1st at the National Bohemian Hall, where we bonded because this cast of George M had to be at 10 o'clock rehearsal at this place on 73rd on like the East River, and we all lived on the west side. And so for us to get over there at 10 o'clock in the morning with no New Year's Eve events, nobody could do a New Year's Eve.
I was so young.
Oh, I was older than you, but I would have done a New Year's Eve, but I couldn't that night. But we kind of all bonded because we were all there on the first day of the new year, and it was like a very special bonding of people. And Harvey from the very first day was just exuberant with everyone. And then I worked with him on, Joel Gray asked me to, in 1986, 68, the opposite way, asked me to play Josie again, and Harvey and Janie Sell were going to be Mom and Papa in the Group of Four Growth Circuit. And I was to reconstruct all the dances I could possibly remember from George M. in the round. And we did that. And that was another just gorgeous thing with Harvey, because we just laughed so much. And then I did Annie Warbucks with him when we started on the road, because I was assisting Peter Gennaro. And I have to tell this story. Okay. I was privileged enough to be behind the desk with Sherry Seff and Martin Charnan and Peter Gennaro and Charles Strauss and all the powers that be, because I was assisting Peter. And Harvey comes in to audition for Drake, the butler. And he comes in and he sings the song, Lonnie, from Starting Here, Starting Now.
Oh, because he'd already done it.
Yeah. He comes in as Drake, very proper, stoic, upright. Nothing bothers him. And he starts singing, I don't remember Christmas and I don't remember Hugh. Hugh. Saying a man's name instead of you. And it just, from the way he started it to the way he built it, we were on the floor laughing from beginning to end. I've never seen an audition like that in my life. Wow. I've never always been privileged to be behind the desk. But that audition, of course, he got the part in an instant.
Well, of course.
I don't remember you.
Well, someone who wanted to be here tonight could not be here, Jimmy Dybus, but he did send along a special message. I'm going to play this. And then we've got another one of his leading ladies on the other side that I'm going to bring on as well. So here's Jimmy Dybus.
Hi, Richard. Hi, everyone. Richard, thank you so much for inviting me to share my experiences and fun times with our beloved Harvey. Boy, oh boy, what a guy. You know, we go back to the 1960s when we first met. And then in 1968, we both were in George M. on Broadway together. So that year or so that we spent at the Palace Theater was chock full of nuts and fun. Oh, and Harvey was playing Barnum on the SS Norway, big theater on the ship. And he was about to leave to do another show. And my friend Neva Ray Powers was playing opposite him and suggested to the director that I might be right for the role. So she called me, we talked on the phone, offered me the part on the phone, right? Oh, I jumped at it. Yes. I took the job, and Harvey, God bless him, after his show, after he closed in the show, he stayed on for a couple of days to teach me, help me learn how to walk the high wire, the tightrope, as we crossed the Bermuda Triangle. Yes, we both did it. What, and give up show business? Anyhow, well, you know, we used to have wonderful late night telephone conversations and see each other in different venues around town at different shows and things. And we would be invited to the Gypsy robe. I mean, now it's called the Legacy robe. The Gypsy robe ceremonies on opening nights. Because we both got the robe a couple of times, and we were there to let other people that we were still here. Anyhow, we would see each other then and around town. You know how we do. We see each other in restaurants and all kinds of places around the city. And I remember one time seeing him at City Center, and at the intermission we saw each other, and he said, "Hey, Dibes, we're still here." And we just kind of laughed and enjoyed each other's company. But, you know, I have to tell you, he's just, what a force Harvey Evans has been. Just an extraordinary, talented force. And I love this excerpt from The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and I'd like to share it with you, if I may. For what is it to die, but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing, but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and seek God unencumbered. Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountaintop, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. Well, I know Harvey's dancing with a lot of our friends up there and spreading joy as per usual. But I think about Harvey, and I think, what we have to remember is the laughter and the smiles and the talking and the sharing and the caring and just remember what a beautiful difference he made in all of our lives. May he rest in peace.
That is so beautiful. And here we have Sandy Duncan joining us. Sandy, thank you for being here tonight. And you, of course, danced with Harvey as well. And I want to ask you, first of all, about your first meeting with Harvey and the impact that he made on your life, not only as a co-star, but as a person beyond the footlights. And again, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Trying to recover from the other. I met Harvey at a rehearsal, the first rehearsal for The Boyfriend. I was, I think, 22 years old, and he was older. He was much older. No, 3 years or so, I don't know. So we met, and we reached out to say, hi, nice to meet you. We banged heads, which dictated a career between us that would last forever. We just giggled a lot. And everything I did, he thought was hysterical. And everything he did, I thought was hysterical. We're sitting there, the last next to the last preview, and I'm in tears. And I said, Harvey, I can't wear this wig. They just only want the leading lady to be blonde. I've got to wear this wig, and it looks like a hat. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I looked here. This isn't Maisie. You know it's not the way I do. And he's sitting there trying to hug and he said, oh, honey, don't. It's fine. I said, I don't know what. I was just hysterical. He said, just dye it. I said, dye it? It'd still be ugly. It's like rat hair on it's a hat. And he said, no, just go and just dye your hair. And I said, well, I can't do that. They'll fire me. He said, no, they're not going to fire you because you're great in the part. And not only that, it's the last preview tomorrow night. So I went, oh, he's so sweet. He always is so sweet. Bye. Thank you, Harvey. Thank you. And I went and had sushi. Remember that street on 40 something where there were just lines of sushi restaurants in that period? Because it was new in America. And we just loved it. So I went and I had a sushi, the dinner, and I'm looking across the street and it says trendy, hot, haircuts and color or something like that. So I thought, screw it. I'm going to go over there and get my hair dyed. So I went across the street, got my hair dyed, show up the next day. My hair is now, it wasn't pink, but it was like a ginger kind of, I don't know, jazzy kind of look. And I walked in and everybody's mouth fell open and went like, I'm going to be fired. I'm going to be fired. And Harvey went, looks great. And apparently it did. Because it flew around and it was free and it got in all the reviews we had. They talked about my pink flying hair. So the first night we opened, he said, I told you. I said, I know, Harvey, I know. So we go into the wings. So we've stopped the show. We're jumping up and down and hugging each other and just going crazy. And the stage manager comes over and he says, maybe you should do the encore. We're like, we do the encore. Oh my God. He said, no, now. Do the encore now. So we went out and we did the encore and we did it every night for the rest of the run. And for the rest of my life, whenever I'd see Harvey, we just giggle. I loved him. He adored me. I know he did more than you two. He loved me. I think I could have gotten him. Anyway, we went for life. You started where you left off with Harvey. That's all I have to say. So when I see him, I'm going to start off right where we left off. It'll be something outrageous like, get your face done. I don't know. I'll do it because he says to do it. I love you, Harvey.
Oh, wow, a great story. But you mentioned something, and I also think of the laughter. I mean, I never heard he laughed and laughed and laughed.
And you're right. You can't find one person in this business, it's unique to him, that would say anything ever but wonderful about that man. Ever.
Yeah, sure.
Just laughed. When was the last time that you saw him, Sandy?
I saw him, actually, I believe Leroy was with him. We were at a dinner party, and he walked in, he went, "Fuck, you never change." I said, "Oh, yeah, I do, and I know how and where." And he said, and he just hugged me like we hadn't seen each other. And then we had dinner one night at, I don't know, some Mexican food restaurant and laughed. He just brought everybody's spirits up. Every time you'd see him, he would just lift you to some new height. He really would. Not just me, and I thought it was just me. I'm kidding. But everyone.
And what about you, Leroy? When was the first time that you and Harvey met? And did you have the same experience with him that Lonnie had?
No, because I was so much younger. And it was a dancing school in Covington, Kentucky.
Oh, God.
Bob Ziegler's School of Dance. And the sign over a wishing well read, "Tap-toe ballet, acrobatic baton, ballroom, voice, personality, and culture." And Harvey was, the thing about, I have to set this clear so everyone knows, not that it's important, but it is. Harvey came to New York, and his first show was in 1955. He had graduated from high school, so he was 18 years old. Now, they have him as being 80 years old. He wasn't. He was older. And that happened a long time ago when they gave the wrong birth date for Harvey, and he always laughed and kept it because it made him younger, because he was always the eternal juvenile. And so I can't remember how old I was, but Harvey was a teenager. And then shortly after he graduated from high school, he went to New York. So I didn't know him because there was that age difference. But then when I came to New York and I met him at the first party, of course, I said, "Well, Harvey Honegger." And of course, that made his eyes raise. And so I said, when I was a little boy in dance school, and I would pull my face up to the bar to look over and say, "Oh, I hope I can be Harvey Honegger one day." And he just gave me that dirty look. And then, of course, then we laughed and we caught up. And, of course, we were joined at the hip from that point on. We're from the same area of town, and so many similarities. We played many of the same kind of roles. And just as everybody has said, he was sweet. That's a good word for Harvey. He was just sweet, always laughing. We had the best of times together. And one of the last times I was with him was over at Cibo e Vino, a restaurant in my area of town. And Donna McKechnie, Harvey, and I sat there. And weeks before that, I had seen him in a supermarket. I didn't even recognize him. He was in such bad shape. But then 3 weeks later, he was like, the cat that has 9 lives. He came in looking fabulous, and he flashed that T-shirt that said, "I'm still here." And we sat and had dinner from 6 till we closed the restaurant, laughing ourselves silly. And he looked absolutely terrific. And then the very last time was just shortly before they put him into the Actors Home. And Donna and I went over and I got Chinese food, and we were with him then. And I knew that I would never see him past that. And once he got into the Actors Home, we all wanted to go out and see him, but there were so many restrictions, and we couldn't all go together. And and he died shortly thereafter. So we didn't get that chance to say the final goodbye, but we kind of did that night. But he lives in our hearts forever, because that laughter and his buoyancy and his naivete. I was always so surprised. Harvey was always so naive about everything. And you would say things, he would go, "Oh, they lied." I said, "Harvey, grow up. You're in show business, for Christ's sake." He always had that wonderment about him, which was so endearing. And God, I loved him to death. I mean, we were brothers. It went beyond being friends. We were brothers. From the same school, we knew the same things. We looked at each other. We didn't have to think one thing or the other. And I have a long story to tell, and I don't know if you want to do it now, Richard. It's a rather long story, but when he replaced me in Showboat down at Houston just for the weekend. Do you want to hear it?
Well, do you want to tell it now, or do you want to tell it
No,
later?
I can tell it now if the girls don't fall asleep on me.
Okay.
What time is
I
it?
went down to do show though for the Houston Grand Opera. The reason I did it, the show was going to go to Egypt. And of course I was dying to go to Egypt. So I accepted the job, and I thought it was going to be like a 2-week rehearsal period. And we would play a week in Houston, and then we would play, over in Egypt. Under the auspices of the opera. But the opera people don't do 8 shows a week. They sporadically do it because of the voice. And so I took the job. Everything was fine. Then I was to receive an Outstanding Alumni Award at the College Conservatory of Music at the University of Cincinnati with my dear friend Suzanne Farrell. So I was so excited. Of course, I'm going to do that. Then I found out the rehearsal period was longer, and it was going to conflict. So opening night in Houston was when I was going to get the honor in Cincinnati. So the opera people are very different about, people missing shows and whatever. So I thought, well, I'll just make up a big fat lie. And so I called David. David, I can't remember his last name, who was the big honcho at the Houston Grand Opera. And I said, I have a problem before we go to, I have a hemorrhoid that needs to be attended to, because I knew that would be a place no one would want to look. So I said, so I unfortunately, it's going to conflict getting into the hospital. So I'll come down and rehearse, and I won't be able to do opening night in Houston, but I'll be available for the rest of the run. And then you can replace me. I either had the understudy said, well, we don't want to do that. And I said, well, how about if we get Harvey Evans to replace me for those, couple of days I had to be away. So they agreed, but they wanted me to still come down and have the operation in Houston. I said, no, my doctor in New York. And of course, Paige O'Hara is playing opposite me. So of course I had to tell Harvey the whole story. And Harvey looked at me with that face and went, you lied. Yeah. Anyway, I said, Harvey, I just want to go to Egypt, for Christ's sake. You know this part. You've done it 1,000 times. You wear my size. We even take the same size shoes. I'll make sure the choreography isn't difficult so you can learn it quickly. I'll even be there when you come down. I'll teach the goddamn show to you. You can do it overnight. Just do it. So, of course, he said yes. So we've got this big charade going now. Paige O'Hara, who was playing opposite me, is organizing getting me flowers to the hospital and all that. So eventually I had to tell her, too. So we had this big story. But anyway, we do it. I come back. Harvey does opening night. I come back a day later, and I come. Of course, I'm going, and they say, Leroy, how wonderful you look, and my goodness, how can you walk? I said, well, it's difficult, but I'm fine, because I didn't know I had to show anybody what happened. So anyway, we go to Egypt. Everything is fine, and David. I can't remember his last name. That's terrible. But his assistant was a graduate of CCM in Cincinnati. And on the front of the magazine, of course, is me and Suzanne Farrell. So he said, oh, Leroy, I didn't know that they performed hemorrhoid operations on the stage of the University of Cincinnati. So I said, please don't say anything. But that was our secret forever. And Harvey and I laughed about it for years and years. But it was just like, he was like my brother. For God's sake, we got into all these things, and I even used to procure tricks for him. We were so, he would get crushes, and I do all the Dolly Levi business beforehand.
Well, speaking of Dolly Levi, somebody that did play Dolly Levi opposite him, who also is from Cincinnati, is the one and only Pam Myers. Here.
My sister.
Hi, everyone. Not that I haven't heard that story before, but it always is embellished a little bit more.
Creative license, honey. Creative license.
You have a
Hello,
lot of
Pam.
those.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is great.
Hi, Pam.
Hi, everyone. Oh, my gosh. This
So,
is so
Pam,
fun.
You played Dolly Levi opposite Harvey in concert, but then you've appeared with him a few times. But talk about your friendship. And I'm going to ask you the same thing that I asked Sandy: the relationship on both sides of the footlights.
Well, Harvey, I actually didn't even work with him until the 90s, I think. Of course, I knew him, and I would run into him because I hadn't met him before, because truly, I was 8 years old when he went to Broadway. the first time. So we're all the same age, actually, all of the we ladies, and close. Leroy's close. But he, being from Cincinnati, I know exactly the block that he lived on. I've been to their family home, and he was just had that wonderful. He just had charisma. I mean, you did fall in love with him. Everybody did. And he was so multi-talented, but he was in Follies, and that opened 1 year after Company opened, and we were all invited to the opening night, and that's the first time I really saw him perform. Well, no, I take that back. I saw him in You Guys and Boyfriend. That was lovely. That was so fun to see. My gosh, that was a wonderful production. Wonderful. And Harvey was, he was so charming all the time. So actually, I met him worked with him because Tucker Smith had played a part in a review that Donna McKechnie and Terry Ralston and Tucker and Michael Byers and me and Paul Horner wrote. It was in LA, and you know how it was. Everybody was doing these reviews when you couldn't get a job, and we were all bored to tears. And we actually painted a furniture store out in Burbank. That was the only place we could get really for no rent, probably. And we did one of those equity waiver things, And Tucker was in it. And of course, he's Ice in the movie of West Side Story. And he passed away a couple years after that. And Harvey, we got another production of that same show, Let Me Sing and I'm Happy. It was a review. And Harvey came out and replaced him in LA. And that's when we became very good friends. And because we had so many things to talk about. I mean, we're from here, Leroy, we all just knew each other really well. I know every reference Leroy makes and every reference Harvey made, and his family and his brother and his nieces. And they are just gorgeous and smart, and they're devastated, of course. And they're here in town, and I hope to be seeing them actually very soon, and having a toast in Harvey's honor, and all of you guys too. I have pictures. I was going to say, I have some great pictures of Leroy and Donna and Sandy and Dawn and me and Harvey all at Leroy and Bob's wedding.
Wow.
And they're so cute. And Harvey loved those pictures. Well, he loved any pictures. As you know, he was always smiling and getting his picture taken with everybody he worked with. The Dolly thing was a concert. It was a fundraiser for the Jacksonville Theater. Sarah Boone had us come down there, and that was fun. He was Horace and I was Dolly. It was really fun to do. And then, of course, we did a couple of Sondheim reviews and a lot of Sondheim songs together here and there, and we became just very, very close friends. And I stayed in his apartment every once in a while before he was moved downstairs, and downstairs in his same building. And we were all very close, Donna and me and Leroy and Harvey and a lot of people. I mean, I don't know why I know so many dancers. I even know Suzanne Farrell because she had to zip me into my dress. Actually, that was a riot. She actually had to put her knee up on the back of my back to zip me into this dress that was too tight for me. We were sharing a dressing room. And if you wanted to talk about Mutt and Jeff and the total, I mean, like Suzanne Farrell and me in the same dressing room. Hello. So I don't know. I could go on and on because I miss him terribly. And I will say that I was at a New Year's, Christmas Eve service. It was early and there was a lot of beautiful music in it. And I was just getting ready to turn off my phone to listen to in the church. I was with my sister, Susan, and her guy, Phil. And this message came up and said, and I just, we had our masks on and Christmas Eve. So I recommend this Maybelline waterproof mascara. We discovered it when we lost our Nancy, my sister, in September, and I'm telling you, we should buy stock in it because that's the thing to have right now. I'll tell you right now.
Absolutely. Well, I want to bring on.
We know you all wear it too, don't we, Leroy?
Yes.
I want to bring someone else on from your little group, and that's Diane Fendley.
Diane!
Yes. And Diane Fendley, you and Harvey did industrials together, and you are also part of this lunch group, and along with Donna McKechnie, who, by the way, sends her regrets tonight. Her apartment is being renovated, and she said her computer is discombobulated. Everything's a mess, and she really regrets that she could not be part of this tonight. So we send our love to Donna tonight. So, but thank you, Diane, for being here tonight. Your memories of Harvey.
I'm listening to everybody's memories of Harvey, and I'm in some ways so terribly envious. You shared and spent so much more time with him than I ever did. I don't remember when I met Harvey because I always knew Harvey. And it was like always knew Harvey. Everybody knew Harvey. I love a couple of wonderful memories for me, and one of them has to do with you, Miss Pam Myers. The last time,
I know.
Right. The last time I saw Harvey was sitting in my living room with Pammy trying to tackle a 2.5-pound lobster. Right? It was about 2.5, maybe 3 years because COVID.
I won too.
Yeah,
we won.
Well, yeah, that's right. He always does. That's my next thing. But that was quite a night. That was wonderful. Harvey and I only did one show together, which is so sad for me, but it was a show that I'll never forget. It was 3 weeks in Spain. The producer that we had loved to party and loved taking his companies and keeping them there longer than we really needed to. So here we are in Spain for 3 weeks and only one show to do. So get my gist. It was wonderful. So we're having this wonderful time, Harvey and I, just two people show, working out of a trunk with the hat, the cane, the dancing, the this and that. And I don't need to say what a joy that man is on stage. You can't do anything wrong when he's with you. It just bounces everywhere, bounces. He was a joy. During this particular trip, our producer wangled a bullfight for us. And after the bullfight, he also wangled an afternoon or an evening after the bullfight with the bullfighter himself, the matador, to meet with him and to go down into the delves of his wine cellar. So bullfight was most exciting. Meet the matador, and that was one of the most gorgeous looking men I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't breathe. Right down the first flight of, yes, Leroy, you would have been so happy. Go down the first flight of stairs of this gorgeous vineyard or wine cellar, and I'm flirting with this guy every step of the way. Get down, candlelight everywhere, tastings of wine, cheese, bread. We go down to the next flight. I'm still flirting with this gorgeous hunk of man. About an hour and a half later, it's been so wonderful. We come up to the steps, getting into the car, and we couldn't find Harvey. We had no, where the hell Harvey had been. What I didn't know is Harvey was flirting with the matador. So I have a question for you. Who do you think got the matador? I couldn't find her for 2 days.
Oh, good for Harvey.
There was a lot of Ava Gardner in Harvey Evans.
Yeah, there really is. There really is. It's that thing, as we're coming home and we're at the wedding, we pull up and we go up to the desk, this lovely lady who's checking our for us, and Harvey hits her right away. Said, "Oh, you're lovely. Your hair is beautiful. Look at your lovely dress." Before I know it, they're having this phenomenal conversation together. Didn't matter that I was there. Nobody even saw me. Just this lady and Harvey. All of a sudden, Harvey realized that he was taking up an awful lot of time and there were people waiting. And she looked at Harvey and she said, "Mr. Evans, I must say you're possibly the most charming man I have ever met. You're just such a happy person. I wish you both a safe flight and a safe journey. And now you have first class tickets."
Oh,
Oh,
Wow.
So that says everything about Harvey Evans. First class tickets.
we go first class.
That's
man.
right.
First class man. He bubbled no matter where he was. That white light was around him all the time. He was, well, as we both said,
absolutely.
probably one of the most special people you'll ever meet as long as you live. And I'm blessed, as we all are, to have known Harvey Evans. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to see him again. Happy
Wow.
Absolutely.
birthday.
I hope you do, Diane.
Yes,
I
yes.
will. I will.
Yes.
I will.
Did you hear what Pam said?
What?
She hopes you do.
Oh, now what the hell do you mean by that? I'll call you later.
Well,
We all have to get on the same train, you know.
yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
I got you. I got
I
you.
want to bring Lawrence Leritz on. Lawrence, also a very dear friend of Harvey's. Harvey, Lawrence, you, when was the last time that you saw Harvey? You obviously, you were quoted in all the obituaries. So you got the word out to everyone.
Yeah.
Were you with Harvey recently before he passed?
No, it was over a year since I saw him last. I first met Harvey around 1979, I think it was. I grew up in the St. Louis area, and so did Tony Stevens. And my teacher kept telling me, "Oh, there's a really great dancer, and now he's a choreographer in New York. His name is Tony Stevens. And you have to meet him when you get to New York." So he arranged for us to meet. And we got together a few times. And he said, "Oh, you have to meet my boyfriend. He's also a Broadway dancer." Well, I totally looked up to these people. And I was in ballet school at the Harkness Ballet and Joffrey, and then the New York City Ballet School, School of American Ballet. And it was Harvey Evans. And Harvey loved to hear all the ballet stories, and I loved hearing all of their stories. I was mesmerized. And the very first thing, and some of the other people have mentioned, when he saw me, he came up and gave me the biggest, most loving hug. And I felt immersed by love. And it's something that I mentioned to the Associated Press when they called me. It's my strongest memory of him, because every time that I saw him after that, he always gave me that hug, and you felt his heart.
Mm-hmm.
It was for real. Harvey was a true spiritual, loving being. He was a light. And so anyway, we always loved talking about Jerome Robbins, because I knew Jerry from New York City Ballet, but a few years later, I danced on Broadway for Jerry, and Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway was the last production that he directed. And the odd part was that I probably thought I'd never see Harvey again. I saw Harvey constantly because we were both friends with Bill Como, who was the editor and Dance Magazine and After Dark, and their main photographer, Ken Duncan. And they all had parties. So I would see him like every other month. And we became friends, and we chat on the telephone, and I never performed with him, but I absolutely loved him and adored him, as everybody else does. And happy birthday, Harvey. And Leroy and I had toasted him at Sardi's a few days after his passing.
Great.
It was very touching.
Tony Stevens, Richard, sorry. Tony Stevens was also in The Boyfriend. And I never knew they were boyfriends.
Real boyfriend.
Stupid? What? I knew they were friends. This is together.
Andy, you were too busy stopping the show every night.
Yeah, well, that's right, with my pink hair. But how long were they together?
Yes, they're so.
I think they were together for quite a long time.
A long time?
Yeah,
I
they
just
were.
right. Every
Pretty
time
long
I run
time.
into Harvey, I
Long
run into
time.
Tony.
I want to share just a few photographs here, and then I'm going to bring Marcus on. And here, I mean, just to show you the joy in him. Here, of course, with Donna, who is just a wonderful picture. Yes, love this picture. Barnum, of course.
I love that picture. Great.
Love this picture.
Oh, look at him. Oh.
Yes, I love this picture here. This, yes.
Oh, you guys.
Look at this.
Oh, look.
Fun there. And this picture. Look at all of you.
Oh, that says this picture of the whole world.
Henry's. We went.
Yes, and there he is with Anne Margaret Dames, and of course, I'm going to bring Marcus on and get rid of this picture here. And there you are, Marcus. And Marcus, thank you so much.
Bravo. That was a really good
Yes.
phenomenal montage that you put together.
Thank you. This is a toast to Harvey, who liked his vodka, and I loved him very much.
Thank you.
I loved him very much. I'm very sad right now. Sorry. I feel very bad because he was here a few months ago. Our last time, we've had many parties in the apartment, and he came. Leroy has been here, Patty, Donna, all the great ladies, Virginia Seidel. We had wonderful times. And the last time, the party was arranged because Leroy wanted to come over, and he didn't show up. I was like, Leroy, we're all here. Where are you? Oh, I forgot. Oh,
Senior memory. Senior memory.
No, I saved one. There's one more photograph that I saved that I want to pull up. This is my favorite, and this is, of course, the After Dark cover.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that
you go, baby. It was the last time I saw Harvey here. He was supposed to come again. I spoke to him a couple of months ago. He called me, and I felt really bad. I knew he was not well, and we've tried to go over and help him, but he didn't want to impose, I guess. So I really feel bad that we didn't get to see him one more time, but he was the sweetest person. I met him at Dances Over 40 when we were both on the board. And he was so fun and so sweet. I never saw a gentleman like Harvey Evans. It was really amazing. A career you could only wish for, and yet so untouched by all the crap that goes on in the theater.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you all knew him a lot longer than I did. I never saw him in a bad mood.
No.
Never. No, and we would go out. He would call me and say, "Let's go see this." We went to see something. That's when I met Sandy Duncan at some little event downtown. I don't remember where it was, but Sandy, Ugga Wugga, you were the best.
Thank you. I'm glad you didn't define the event with each other. That's what it could have been. Thank you.
No, you are the ultimate Peter Pan.
Thank you.
And Pam Myers, nobody can sing Another 100 People like you.
Oh, well, thank you. They probably can right now.
Nope.
And Crazy Leroy is, if you want to hear stories, you got to come to my apartment, have a few drinks, and Leroy, baby, you are the greatest.
They don't repeat.
Doesn't need a few drinks.
Yeah, they're all new.
You cannot believe what we've heard in this place. If only I had a camera.
They never proved a thing.
They never
But Harvey was always here. Harvey was always sweet and yes, he was like an altar boy, but he was the sweetest person ever. Never heard a bad word about anybody. He was just divine. I love Harvey very much, and I'm very sad. I really am sad because he was so wonderful.
Well, first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for saying yes to being here tonight. I wanted this to be a celebration of Harvey, and it has become that. What I want to do is I want to give my closing remarks, and then I'm going to leave the screen. And then I'm going to start with you, Lonnie, followed by Patty, Sandy, Leroy, Marcus, Lawrence, Diane, and Pam. I'll give you the final word tonight. We'll go in that order. And just your final words with whatever you want to say about Harvey. It can be to build upon something we've said tonight, something we didn't say that you wish we had, or just any message that you want to get out to anyone who's watching tonight about what you want them to remember about Harvey Evans. What I want to say to everybody is how important, especially now during COVID, that it's important that we reach out to each other. We never know when that person's not going to be there. So it's important that we reach out. And I end all of my shows by saying this: pick up the phone, call your friends, let them know what they mean to you, and just reach out with a phone call. David Friedman, very dear friend, says we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along.
Yes.
Harvey, as I said in my introduction, from the moment that I met that man, and Lawrence, you said it best, he welcomed me with a hug. And every time I saw him, if I saw him at a Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS event, he could be across the theater and he would rush across the theater to give me a hug. If he saw you and he knew you, he would rush through the crowd to say hello. He didn't brush you off. He took the time to say hello. And as Marcus said, in this business where there's a lot of phoniness, there's a lot of people who brush you off, there's a lot of hello, and then move on. That was not Harvey. Harvey was the real deal. And we need a lot of Harvey Evans in this world, not only in the theater, but in everyday life. And if all of us can take just a little bit of Harvey Evans in our heart and take him out into the world's going to be a better place. And that's my wish for 2022 and beyond. And again, thank you all for watching tonight. And thank you all for being here. I'm going to leave the screen. And Lonnie, you've got the stage.
Oh, boy. Well, what can I say about Harvey? Harvey was a true star of show business. He was a star, but he was a team player. He was an ensemble player, and yet he was a star in the ensemble world. Even in when he had leading roles, everybody was included on stage. He wasn't there for his own ego. And he was the kindest. I remember we went to see the record breaking chorus line, and I was just about to give birth to my first son, Jack. I think Sandy, we were pregnant at the same time.
We
with
were.
Our first, yeah. And I was in this big pink, like it almost looked like a clown outfit, and I was sitting right behind him. And we turned around when they came down and turned. The original company turned the pictures around, and we both start bawling our eyes out. And he turns around, and I expected him to say something like so deep and dark. And he said, "Are we the only two in New York who never did this show?" And I said, "Is that why you're crying?" He said, "No, it's too hot." And that was Harvey. It was like, what happened? Why didn't we do that? And he used to escort me to the ballet. We would go to New York City Ballet. We go to ballet theater. and we just had the greatest time. And he was at my shower for a baby shower for Jack, for the first son. A friend of mine, Star Denias, who ballerina, we went to school together. She gave the shower, and it was in a little Italian restaurant on the east side. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the shower, now I hadn't seen Harvey for a while, these two guys come in with gorilla masks on. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to kill us, or they're robbing the restaurant, or what? And they're running around and they're touching everybody. And then I'm like, who are you? And they suddenly take off the masks. One is Scott Holmes and the other is Harvey Evans. And they just came because, I don't know, somebody asked them to come, probably my mother, and just hang out. But they had to go and buy big gorilla masks. He had no problem, coming and what do you call it? Not bashing a party. What's the word? Crashing. So he was just the light. He was a light. He was the best. And now, Patty, I'll give it to you.
Thanks, Lonnie. Okay. From the very first day, we both met him, Lonnie, January 1st, 1968, at our first Georgetown rehearsal. The last time I saw him at a Marcus Galante party, when he laughed at me because I was dancing to, Marcus put something on that was, I'm so excited, the Pointer Sisters, that I just handed it, and I'll went wild. And all you can hear is Harvey laughing in the background. Marcus, you know this. And I said, oh, please don't show that, because I had COVID-10 at that point. I had, put on 10 pounds, and I was embarrassed about my weight. And Marcus filmed this, and Harvey is laughing so hard. And I actually cherish that now, because I lost the 10 pounds. So I don't feel so bad about now. But the man, I guess, Harvey and I lived 4 blocks from each other, right off Riverside Drive, for a number of years. And July 4th parties, where the big ships were up, up the Hudson River with Joel Gray, and parties, Jeannie Sharman parties, that whole group of people. Harvey was Broadway royalty, and he never played that. He just was a true mensch, and I tear up when I think about him, because whenever I saw him, it was just wrap your arms around me, because that's what we wanted to do when we saw each other. So there's nothing in this class but happy birthday, Harvey. Thank you. I pass it on to Sandy.
Oh, I'm enjoying listening. I had, let me just think a quick second. Ron Young just called me the other night to ask if, and you all know who Ron is, if I would be part of this. I said, absolutely, no question. And Ron said, he was in The Boyfriend, Ron Young. He was the lead opposite Judy Carn, who made me have to get another hair color. Never mind. So anyway, he said, when you two would come on stage, he said, absolutely. He said, I thought they had turned the lights up. And I say that because it wasn't me. It was Harvey. He just, on stage, he turned the lights up because of that beaming face. And in life, he would do the same thing. He would come into a room and the lights got brighter. Yeah. So now I just get to appoint some. Oh, next is Leroy. You're in a line there. Leroy, I love you. There he is.
I love you too, sweetheart. Just to clear one thing up, my senior moment, the producer in Houston was David Gockley. I have to always get back and make everything perfect. I'm a Virgo. The thing about Harvey, in retrospect, I say Harvey came from a loving family. He loved his work. He loved the people in it. He just loved life, and he lived it to the fullest. He never wasted his time with any negativity. He never competed. That was an interesting thing in show business. Harvey never competed. He was always part of it and enjoyed every moment. I think that's why God gave him a long, happy life. And even when he had the liver cancer, he fought it for years. He was like a cat with 9 lives. And I think it's that attitude that kept him going. And even at the end, he had a sense of humor. And the last time Donna and I were with him, we laughed. He didn't want to burden us with his problems. And that's the way he died. He didn't want people around him being unhappy. So I think that we carry that joy and remember that, and maybe that joy will pass on to us. And then when we join everybody in the hereafter, Harvey will be there because his love was eternal, and my love for him is, and I'm sure everybody joins me in saying that. Happy birthday, Harvey. We miss you, but you're in our hearts, and we'll be with you when time comes, and we'll have a wonderful party, and I love you. My sister, Pam Myers.
Oh, gosh. Well, thank you. You probably don't even know that Harvey's middle name was Leroy. Harvey Leroy Honecker. He was really proud of being from Cincinnati and was loyal to his friends here and to the city and everything good about Cincinnati as long as I knew him. And I wrote down a couple of things. I wanted to mention that Kenny Bennett is just a wonderful person who was a very good old friend of Harvey's here in New York. And they were devoted friends, and he really notified all of us and took good care. And he was just a good buddy. They were like best friends. And he's just a great guy and has really helped out. The last live performance I had was with Harvey in New York, when a Sondheim unplugged performance. And it was doing a song from Anyone Can Whistle, and he did the backup. All 4 fellas did. I sang the part Angela did, and he did all this stuff behind me. And that was the last time we sang together, last time I sang in front of an audience live. And I miss him terribly. And I know he talked about all of you. I mean, he really was very affectionate toward everybody he worked with that he loved. He was not a phony at all. I mean, he was work breeds work, and you don't go by your ego. You end up, loving your life, and you earn your way. And he just loved that so much. And he was he shared with everybody, and he was just multi-talented and in multi-friends. So I miss you, Harvey. Happy birthday. And hopefully we'll see each other in the, like Leroy says, 5, 6, 7, 8, I guess. Okay. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
I like that, Pam, 5, 6, 7, 8, because that's exactly what it's going to be with Harvey. I'm not going to tell any more stories. I just want to say that what a lovely evening to share. I'm very happy to be a part of this because I'm one of those lovely people, happy people, lucky people that knew one of the great guys who literally, truly did walk around with a white light around him. He knew the joy of life. I think he had God inside of him. Joy. Thankful for his life, thankful for his gifts, thankful for everything. And I am very honored and privileged to have known this man. And I thank you, Harvey. I thank you for everything. And I wish you a very happy birthday. And yes, I will see you again. And I'll bring another 2.5-pound lobster. Lawrence.
Thank you. Yeah, like she said, just full of joy. I adored this man. Happy birthday, Harvey. Um, one funny story is one of the parties that Ken Duncan threw, he threw big spectacle parties, and one was at a roller rink. I think it was his Christmas party. And John Curry was like the guest. He was on Broadway at the time in Brigadoon, and the Olympic ice skater champion. So it was at an ice skating rink, and Harvey and I were both invited, and we were hanging out together with Ken, laughing, of course. And Ken said, "Oh, well, you two should get on the rink and skate." And I said, "I am the worst skater. You don't want to see me skate." And Harvey egged me on until I got on to the rink, roller skating. And I said, "You don't want to see this." So John Curry came up and held my hand and gave me like lessons how to do it. And I fell on my butt 3 times. And Harvey was laughing so hard. I always have this memory in my mind. And Harvey says, "Yeah, maybe you should stick with dancing." I love you. Happy 3rd anniversary to Richard. And I love the sharing tonight. Kisses to Harvey and Marcus.
Well, my first big show was a chorus line. So, of course, I didn't get to work with Harvey. I'm smelling 70, but I'm not quite there yet. I want to say something about this shirt, Cheetah, from her show. I found it in a cheapo bucket in one of those Broadway crap shows, stores. And it was like, I don't know, $3 or something. And I loved it because I love Cheetah. And I wore it to a Dentist Over 40 board members meeting. And Harvey was like, "I want that shirt. Where did you get it?" I said, "Harvey, I don't think they have anymore." I went back there and I searched 3 times. I could not find this shirt again to get for Harvey. I thought it would be a nice gift for him because he really liked it. But I want to just say that all the people here tonight were brilliant. You are all brilliant. Sadly, it's not what it used to be. But Harvey is one of the last of the greats. I loved him very much. He was the sweetest person, the most talented man, and a brilliant career. I never heard a bad word out of his mouth. He's been here many times, and we had wonderful evenings. Leroy and Patty can attest to that. And I will miss him. And I cry because I feel so bad that he's gone. God only takes the good ones. So, God bless us all. And I hope we're all together again in the great Broadway in the sky. Bye.